Hello, and welcome to Mayday Roleplay. Thank you for joining us as we come together to tell stories of ghosts, beloved characters created by their storytellers who have met their final chapters. We here come to bear witness to last impressions and learn to say goodbye. This is the game Ghostfi. But before we turn our next page, some housekeeping is in order. We'd like to thank our handler-level Patreon contributors. Their involvement allows us here at Mayday to continue to produce and tell stories for your viewing pleasure. So thank you to Advance War Sammy, OG Pan, Bimble Ward, Cameron S, Kirby's Double, Moria, Brandon C, Jonathan M, and Ren. If you too would like to contribute to Mayday, and be sure to find us on Patreon, you'll get access to early releases, art, bi-monthly games run by Mayday, and our Discord server built around our wonderful community there. And expect VOD exclusive runs of Ghostfi by the Mayday members, and a campaign diary in the near future. If you haven't heard, we have completed the third season of our Delta Green series, Doomed to Repeat, which is now available along with our extensive catalog of completed seasons and shows on our YouTube for VODs, or anywhere you get your podcasts for audio-friendly versions. Be sure to join us bi-weekly live as we play through our Vampire the Masquerade campaign, Vegas by Night. And as always, follow us on all major social media platforms and our website for updates on future content and other news. We also would love to thank the wonderful guests who are coming to tell stories with us, top-tier creatives in the actual play and TTRPG scene, gifted storytellers, and their beloved characters. And be sure during those episodes to follow their amazing work in the descriptions listed. Ghostfi is a game about death and grief and the complicated lives of complex characters. This is an actual play that is intended for mature audiences. Please take care of yourself and be aware. Our players are under the guidance of safety tools. An X card can be employed at any time. And with that, let us begin. Let's introduce our cast today.
Hey, I'm Vince with Mayday Roleplay, and I will be playing a character named Doc, who we will obviously be learning about as we go through this.
Beautiful. And my name is Eli. I will be your guide. The West is a place of outlaws and cowboys, a level of ruthlessness, especially during a time of foreseen progress in the world, as many travel to parts unknown in order to rebuild their lives or follow their dreams or seek new opportunities wherever they can find them. And wherever Doc was left in those final moments of his time amongst the living, everything kind of starts to fade away. There is no pain, there is no sickness in these final moments, no sensation of feeling or smell or sight or sound. We fall into a sense of nothing. But as we both know, nothing can derive something. And that is where, as sense of sorts returns to Doc in a way. We're brought to a place which is known as the manifestation, a place in which when one might have a location that sets upon their heart and their soul where they can retreat to or create construct when the end has come. For Doc, what is this location that gets constructed in this space designed for him?
For Doc, it's not a place that he is endeared to necessarily that holds positive memories for him. If anything, it is a reminder and a manifestation of chaos, of disorder, of a decisive branching point in his life where things that could have been ceased to be a possibility, and he was set on this path for the remainder of his life. And it is both the source and the ultimate effect of his legacy, and a place that has trapped him. It trapped him in life, and it's trapped him in death. And the old Kinsley Corral in Tombstone, Arizona territory. Stables, horses, hay, the scent of freshly cut hay, of manure, boot prints and mud. And underneath it all, this coppery tang of blood and spent gunpowder hangs like a pall in the air.
Beautiful. Let's take a moment to describe Doc. Who is this person? What do they look like? As they traverse through this corral and find it quite empty and no hustle and bustle of folks around, no one wandering over to the saloons to drink, no even horses to be put up in the stable, just an empty space for one soul to wander ceaselessly. What does he look like?
Doc is in his mid-30s, but he looks older. In fact, folks often assessed him as being older than he actually was due to this unhealthy, deathly pallor to his skin, his sunken cheeks and prominent cheekbones poking through almost paper-thin flesh, the constant shallow rise and fall of his chest, like he could never quite catch his breath and could never take more than just one painful, shallow breath at a time. The disease wasted him away. He was 5'10", but couldn't weigh more than maybe 110, 120 in his final moments. Still, what some would consider handsome, perhaps. Ash blonde hair, blue eyes, well-trimmed and groomed mustache. If there was one thing Doc was, even with this sickness hanging over him his entire life, it was well put together. A reminder of the manners and the demeanor taught to him by his mother so long ago, before she died when he was 15.
Ghost towns are locations in which people tend to abandon them for whatever reason, whether it be through strife or a lack of resource or things like that. These are constructs that become forgotten. And so too does this plot of land in this corral area. It seems to be all but abandoned by those who occupied it, those who maybe bear witness to the events in which set the course of your life through, and what you became almost infamous for. And even though it's so empty here, and one could easily fall into loneliness by the lack of presence around you. And as you kind of wander about, there's a moment in which there's these just offset pangs of familiarity in which you spot something or someone who resonates so well with you, or and this person has joined you on this journey, who come to bear witness, to share in the next step along the road. This is your guide, and describe to me who or what this person is that has come to walk alongside you.
It's my God. It's my old friend. It's Morgan. Looking just like he did all those years ago, before those cowards shot him in the back. He's young. He's healthy again. He's smiling like he always did. Not like Wyatt. Wyatt was a damn stick in the mud, but Morgan knew how to laugh, and he never forgot how. And we laughed. He made me forget sometimes what it was like to be sick. And it's good to see him here.
Yeah, and Morgan kind of saddle ups next to you, kind of just two sets of boots on the ground and the earth, and it is more or less just the sound of feet hitting dirt that kind of interrupts this very quiet lull, but you aren't alone, and Morgan's with you. Let's pull our first card. Let's see what, in fact, tethers our dock to the world.
Oh boy, I'm having some difficulties here.
No worries, take your time.
It's the Jack of Diamonds.
Jack of Diamonds. Diamonds are locations, but jacks are also a power card. Jacks are what is known as a swap card, which means that you have the ability right here and now to draw 3 more cards, and you can choose a card you would like to play instead of this jack. And I'll give you the responses of what those cards are before you make your final decision. But pull those 4 cards on top of the jack, and I'll get those selections for you.
Okay. It's the 8 of Hearts.
8 of Hearts. Okay.
A 4 of Diamonds.
4 of Diamonds.
And a 6 of Spades.
A 6 of Spades. Beautiful. So we'll start with your initial card, the Jack of Diamonds. Jack of Diamonds, again, are locations, a place or a setting that connects you here. And for the Jack of Diamonds, that place is a place with the best view. The 8 of Hearts. Hearts are soul connections, which are people or a living being of significance. And for an 8, that would be a friend who betrayed your trust. For the 4 of Diamonds, was that 4 Diamonds?
Yep.
For 4 of Diamonds, we're back to location. And the 4 of Diamonds is a place near the ocean or out at sea. The 4 is also a power card, which is an add-on card, which you could then draw another card to add to that scene if you choose that, but we'll take that if that becomes the card you select. And the 6 of Spades is an item. a personal item that you hold dear, and for a 6, that would be an item on a key ring.
Okay.
So out of those 4, what do you think would be the best tether that you would like to connect Doc with?
8 of Hearts was a person, right?
8 of Hearts is a person, yes, and that it would be a friend who betrayed your trust.
Okay. Let's do Jack of Diamonds. Let's go with that first one.
We'll do a Jack of Diamonds. Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So again, a Jack of Diamonds is a place with the best view. So what does that mean to Doc? What of all the places in the world and the multitude of locations that they had found themselves along the way, what is the best place that had the best view?
Dodge City, Kansas. Wide open plains. When you see a summer storm rolling in out of nowhere, clouds dark, sunlight still hanging on underneath, flashes of lightning. You can see the rain, you can smell it coming. Not a sight like it.
Beautiful. Roll me a d4.
With pleasure. That's a 1.
A 1.
A
1 is an absolute failure.
Sounds about right.
You will automatically add 1 point to your failed progress, and you will earn a point of spite. So explain that to me. What about this place, a beautiful view of a place where you get to see the rolling storms and the wide and open plains of Kansas? Why does that become such a place of resentment, a place that Doc would maybe rather choose to forget?
It wasn't home.
Hmm.
It was another step in that long journey that took me west and took me to Arizona. Another branching point in my life, a place where I could have been better. Could have done better.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been more. But I met Kate. Kate was there with me. She pushed me to gamble. Needed more money. Always needed more money. And I loved Kate. She was a prison at times. Not letting me evolve past myself. And it was here I drank more. Much more. And it's when I started to realize how much I'd lost, how much I'd changed, and how no matter how badly I wanted to be back home, I was just getting further and further away.
Awesome. I mean, there is no place like home, right? It's, for many, it is a place of comfort. It's a place where you get to learn some of the first lessons of life, and you get to seek out those hopes and those dreams, and if fate allows you to leave it, becomes just a returning point that many seek when things get dire, when things become unpleasant, when the cards aren't really pulling your way. And despite that, when leaving home in itself is a form of journey in which lessons can be learned, and people can be met, and you can gaze upon the wonders of the world. And you do hear in looking at Dodge City, Kansas for you, but it's never quite the same, especially when it's a point in your time where it leads to suffering and it leads to unfriendly company that pushes you into a direction that maybe you never wanted in the end. And as you sit and look as that corral kind of fades away and you sit on some precipice somewhere high where you can watch the rolling storms trickle in from the west, it just doesn't feel the same. And it just feels like a false sense of where you shouldn't be. And as much as it's beautiful and gorgeous to bear witness to, it doesn't beat the place you want to be. And it leaves just such a considerable weight on your heart. Because maybe if you didn't come here, you could have been anywhere else in the world where it mattered or where you really wanted to be. But you've set some form of root here, and it's not turning out the way you want it to be. And maybe it's too late to find your way back, and maybe you'll never make it back. But the weight still remains. And as that vestige of Kansas fades back to the sanctity of the corral, as you and Morgan continue to walk about, you look over to Morgan and he looks back at you, and on his face you bear witness to a level of openness, a level of empathy, a level of understanding beyond comprehension that maybe Morgan never possessed in the time that you knew him before, but it's written all over his face that he knows what you're dealing with, and he sees what you see, and he knows all that you're feeling, but yet he is not here to judge you. He's not here to put in his own insight. He just simply is here to understand you. And you guys just continue to walk on. Let's pull our next card.
Okay. Oh, it's a King of Diamonds.
King of Diamonds. Beautiful. Well, diamonds again is a location. And the King of Diamonds. King of Diamonds is an area along or on a road.
Okay. Railroad?
Could be any road.
Yeah.
Whatever that means to you.
I remember the train that took me to Texas from Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
To go to Dallas. They called it the last big city before the western frontier. There was a friend of my father's who lived in Dallas, John Seeger. We were going to go into practice together. And we did, for a time. It was where I thought I would be able to put down roots, where I wouldn't have to worry about this damn disease, my lungs eating themselves from the inside out. In fact, though, it was here that I realized how dentistry was becoming a little bit of a pipe dream. Patients tend to not look kindly when you cough blood on them in the middle of a procedure. But yeah, Dallas, the train to Dallas from Atlanta, where all that promise ahead of me, but home not far behind.
Roll me a d4.
That's a 3.
3. So 3 is a partial success. Your actions is successful, but a complication is introduced. So we'll start with what success looks like here. How does the train that leads to opportunity feel to Doc, even though ailments kind of edge the precipice of this end place that you go on this one track there?
I remember the successes we had. Me and Dr. Seeger, we won awards. You see, we best set of teeth in gold, best in vulcanized rubber, best set of artificial teeth in dental wear. We were doing good. We were doing real good. I opened my own practice, 1874, and it was in 1878 that I think there was that time in 1874 that I was happy. I was happy and I was at peace, I think, for a time, because I could see myself living here. I could see myself not forgetting home, but remembering it fondly and building something new for myself.
Awesome. Roll me an additional d4 to see what this complication may arise as.
Oh, that's a 4.
A 4. Awesome. Well, since you rolled evens, we will simply add a success to your progress, and you walk away with no spite added.
Excellent.
Your trains, especially trains during the West, were the height of progress for the time. It became a mode of transportation that could get people across far distances faster than horses, faster than one's own 2 feet, faster than a wagon. And to be able to sit on a train that leads you to an opportunity, you know, to better yourself, to do something that you think is worthwhile, maybe even give yourself a sense of purpose that so far the east of where you've been has not yet quite provided you. There's a lot of hope in riding a train west to a final destination. And I think it's that hope that lingers in the air, despite everything that is coming along with it. That while heaviness was kind of felt on the plains of Kansas, Dallas seems a lot brighter for you. And you sit on that train, and just the loud sounds of steel against steel, and the ricketiness and the shaking and the wide amount of heat and smells of those around you. It's that hope that leads you forward and carries you on, and the possibilities that might be made along the way. And with that, you'll earn yourself your success. And as you kind of return back, you know, that just brief, almost like a dream even being on that train, fall back to becoming present again in your manifestation as you're walking the line essentially with Morgan along your way. Like, again, you know, you're met with Morgan who walks alongside you, and you can feel this presence of openness, of empathy, of understanding, but beyond maybe what Morgan had the capacity for. But he's with you, and he sees what you see, And with that, let us go ahead and pull our final card.
The 9 of Spades.
9 of Spades. Excellent. Well, spades are items.
Oh.
And the 9 of Spades is something you keep in your wallet. Or whatever coin purse or whatever adjacent item fits Pillfold fits the setting, but an item nonetheless that you carry on with you.
It's a photo of Martha Holiday, my cousin, who I loved deeply, and I knew loved me in return, but this disease tore us apart, and she joined a convent. Martha became Sister Mary. But I have this photo of her to remember her by, shortly before I left Atlanta. And I've kept it with me all these years, because can't bear to forget her. Reminds me of better times. What could have been.
Roll me a d4.
That is a 4.
That is 4. Excellent. Well, a 4 is an absolute success.
Oh.
Which means you'll automatically add a point to your progress, and you will also remove any spite that has been one level of spite that has been earned.
Okay.
So what does that look like? This photo of a person that you hold dear. What about that really allows Doc here in these moments to maybe forget his troubles, maybe to find steadfastness in the assurance of a familiar face? What about this that you're able to find peace in with this photo?
I think it's a reminder that no matter what others said of me or believed of me, Martha, Sister Mary, believed the best in me. She reminded me that there would always be someone who wouldn't hold me back, who would celebrate me, despite all I'd done, and reminded me that I did not have to be as bad as they said I was, or as bad as they wanted me to be. Perhaps a promise of redemption, more than anything. That somewhere out there, whether you believe in God or not, and he and I have quite a difficult relationship, but someone out there was praying for me.
It's good to have somebody in your corner through it all, thick or thin, good or bad. The gray area that comes in between of how messy life can be, especially when it's lived in such a time and in such choices as it can be for Doc. And despite it all, despite coming to the end essentially for your time overall in this world, it's comforting not only to be joined on a journey with a friend who too also in some way supports you, but to be reminded once again of the one person who always cared about you And that's a powerful thing to be cared about in that way. And maybe even provides a sense of assurance that wherever you're going next, maybe you'll still be remembered fondly by at least one person on this earth by the end of it. And as you're walking with Morgan, and you're holding that photograph in your hand of Martha, Sister Mary. You are able to collectively reflect a bit upon these moments that seem to show their way to you as you occupy this newfound territory that you're in. And there's a moment in all of that where, as you and Morgan have been kind of walking together, sharing this journey with each other, Morgan kind of finally stops in his tracks. And maybe you go on just a little bit ahead, but when you realize that they're not alongside you anymore, you kind of stop as well and turn back to him. And Morgan's got this kind of start kind of making this head motion of, I know where we need to go. I know where we need to be. And as we've taken the time to look at some of these tethers in which Doc is connected to, Morgan starts leading you out to what is known as the crossing. And the crossing represents a location that goes into multiple directions. It could be airport, a bus station, a train station. It could be stairwells leading up or down. It could even be doors, gates, entrances and pools. It's just a place in which one has to make a definitive decision in which they take themselves along that road. So what does that look like for Doc? Where is this place in which a choice has to be made in the end?
I think it's back in Dodge City. It's the train station there, the platform. Onward to Tombstone, where everything would change. Or I'll wait. I'll start taking the train east. Then I'll return home. If I can. One train can make all the difference, and which one I take has consequence. There's nobody else on this platform, just me and Morgan standing there, but the city is quieter than I remember.
There's two ways we can look about this crossing before we make a final decision, before we write the last chapter of Doc's story, which is either reflect upon it, which is we'll look at the successes and failures that have been occurred, and we make a decision for ourselves here and now on the way we go. Or we leave it up to the dice and we build pools based on the success or failure, and we contest them and we see what those outcomes render, and we then make a decision based on how those roles play out.
Well, Doc was a gambler.
Doc was a gambler.
I think it's keeping within his spirit to leave it up to the dice.
Beautiful. So you occurred during this time 2 successes and a failure. And through an absolute success, you had washed away the spite that had built on one of those rolls, which means that these are straight rolls. So you'll roll a 2d4 for your success, and 1d4 for your failure, and we'll see what those results look like.
Okay. So the 2d4 was a result of 3, and the 1d4 was a 2.
2. All right. So your successes outweigh your failures. What does that feel like here, sitting about that, looking at those two places that we went to Dodge City, Kansas, to the train heading to Dallas, to the photo of Martha on in your wallet, your familiar keepsake. What about all of those things renders success in overall? And ultimately, what decision does Doc take for themselves in order to take the next step here?
Speaking outside of Doc, I think all of that reminded him that he was more than just those 30 seconds at that corral where he stood side by side with Morgan and with Wyatt and with Virgil and fought with them and shed blood with them, and that his life was more than just those 30 seconds and what came after. And no matter what legacy others have decided for him based on that, the rumor, the legend, the innuendo, that he was just John Henry Holiday, a man who wanted to be a dentist, a man who loved piano, who loved music, who loved languages, and I think he can finally release and not be bound by that legacy anymore, and finally start going home.
Excellent. I like that. So as we move into our last stage here, the epilogue, in which a definitive choice has been made, let's, embark on one final reflection here. What these last moments in which Doc has, and how we ultimately say goodbye to them.
Doc reaches out and embraces Morgan, his friend, who passed far too early and unfortunately had to meet Doc here. But Doc wouldn't have wanted to be with anybody else. And he remembers his last words. "This is funny." As he died and breathed his last, surprisingly a painless breath for the first time, and longer than he could remember. And he remembers looking down at his feet, because Doc Holliday swore he was going to die with his boots on. And they were off in bed in Glenwood Springs. And in what felt like a lifetime, he finally let go. And yeah, he reflects on his friendship with Morgan. He reflects on everything that brought him here, and looks probably for the first time towards the horizon with something resembling hope of what awaits him.
Yeah. And as you kind of look off into that distance, so does a train that arrives waiting for you, heading east, heading home. And it stops at the station, and steam just fizzes out and kind of coats the platform as the doors open for you. And you take those steps in, take a seat at the next available place, and this is the point in which Morgan does not follow you. He stands on that platform, and as the train begins to kind of start up again, and you get that lurching forward of momentum that will eventually carry you home. Leaving behind Morgan, leaving behind everything else that was placed behind you, the legacy that had been earned, the places that you have been to, the people that right or wrong who you met along the way. Everything of that seems to just kind of finally dissipate as you head to the place you've always wanted to go in the end, and to return to the same place where you kind of started, to fulfill a cycle and a circle, to find peace in knowing that you're going where you want to be. And as that train just pushes you forward and you start to head on your way, Morgan takes off his hat as a gentlemanly gesture of the time that you guys have gotten to spend together here. And you continue on. And Morgan stands there on that platform and looks until the train goes so far away until it's out of sight, and the rest of this manifestation begins to crumble and dissipate away as Doc is finally able to breathe a sigh of relief that the chapters were closed in life, and these final chapters here have been written. And that is where we are going to end our story here today.
Beautiful.
Of Doc and his time. Yes, wonderful. This was beautiful. Gosh. Well, thank you guys all so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed this. This is one of many of Ghostfi episodes that are being played by not only wonderful members of the Mayday crew, but 6 wonderful guests who've come to bring characters to the table to tell stories about them and see if find the best way to say goodbye to them. If you enjoyed Ghostfi overall as a game, this was a game that I wrote back in 2022 as a way for players and storytellers to reconnect with characters, to give final goodbyes to them, and to find their own peace in the things that they've created. And if you would like that to be a part of your tables, or if you would love to explore your characters in a more unique kind of setting and way, be sure to follow the Gumroad link down below, where you can grab Ghostfi for yourself and see what journeys it takes you on. But thank you guys so much again for being here with us today, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.